Good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining us today. Today, we have Amit Walia, who is the CEO of Informatica. And this company has an amazing story, and he has been a large part of leading it to that amazing story. So, very eager to hear from him today. So, he joined as CEO. He was in the company, but he became CEO in January of 2020. And not only, as you know, from January of 2020, took the company through the pandemic, but also last year in October of 21 through a successful second public offering, which we'll talk about. Informatica is a leader in the Gartner Magic Quadrant in many key categories, if not all, of data management, and has over 5,000 customers in more than 100 countries, including 85 of the Fortune 500. So thank you so much, Amit, for joining us today.
My pleasure. Good to be with you, Karen.
Thanks. So I'd like to just start by learning a little bit about Informatica for people who aren't familiar. I've heard it referred to, perhaps by you, as the Switzerland of data. Can you talk a little bit about what Informatica does?
Sure, and I'll make it very simple. So obviously, we are in the business of data management, and one can say, what is data management? And I'll simplify it by saying, if you think about the current world that every enterprise lives in, digital world in particular, where you have data everywhere. But ultimately, if you think about the business problems, like as an example, take during the pandemic, the New York Health and hospitals had to decide where do they move the right PPE at the right time so people can get care.
Mm-hmm.
Or when we're getting in the trial data for the COVID vaccines, you want to make sure it's the right data, high quality, high fidelity, so you can make right decisions. Or if you are large companies like a Kroger or a Freddie Mac, and you want to make sure that you have the right product on the right shelf, so you don't waste and reduce costs, but also give your customers the right products. All of these are ultimately things that you can only do with the help of getting the right data at the right time and to make decisions. So I always say Informatica does data management, but it's a place where data comes to life. And that's what we do. So in that context, there are things like integrating data, high quality of data, mastering data, governance of data, and publishing data through marketplace. All of that is called data management.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we do with the context of one common platform that we call Intelligent Data Management Cloud, with AI fueling it. Our AI is called Claire. That, in a simple way, is what we do for 5,000 customers across the globe, helping nation states, nonprofits, healthcare, any particular vertical, any use case.
That's great. So when I think about Switzerland, I think about neutrality. So does that refer to your ability to work with any system, any legacy system that organizations might have?
Absolutely. So that has been the core tenet of
Mhm.
our strategy. So we call ourselves a Switzerland data, as you said. Think of us as, data sits in many places. Data is fragmented across an enterprise,
Mm.
sits from the old mainframe, any legacy infrastructure, all the way to the cloud infrastructure, whether it's Azure or AWS or Google
Right.
Cloud as we know it, and anything in between, right? Data can be of any type, can be any latency. Our goal is, for the sake of our large enterprise customers, to connect to anything and everything and be able to manage that data. So ultimately, customers can run their data in any underlying infrastructure, but they have the peace of mind that we help them bring sanity to that. So that's what we do. And Switzerland of data is another way to look at it, that we're the super cloud that sits on top of many of these mini clouds, infrastructure clouds or
That's great.
platform clouds. Our goal is to sit there, help our customers get to their business outcomes.
Terrific. Well, I want to talk in a few minutes about how you came to have SuperCloud, but first I want to talk about this process of taking the company private and then public again. I can see the benefits of a reboot, for a sort of I think Informatica is maybe 20 something years old now,
Yeah.
25 years old. So I can see the benefits of a reboot and moving to new systems, but it seems like a hard decision, like a real commitment for the long term. What was it like, this initial privatization decision that you had to make?
That's a great question. I have to go back in time. To be honest, I'd never been in a private company. I'd always been in a public
Mm.
company. Informatica was a private company. And when we went private, the investors that came in, they basically, to their credit, and I was a chief product officer at that time, had all of engineering products and everything. The question in front of us was, what is the path we can take? And first of all, I had this chat with the board that there is a whole new world I could see if I look at 10 years out. Digital
Mhm.
world, cloud first world, where I believe that data will grow, complexity of data will grow, And the need to do more things, manage that data will grow. Fundamental what we do. So use cases will grow. So if that's the world we're going to be in, there is obviously a lot for us to do. Second is, but we got to be fundamentally pivoting towards a new architecture, new use cases. So we have to reboot, rebuild. And the decisions were leave the past behind. We've done something very well. Actually, the other core tenet in that, when I came to that, is that if we were starting as a startup at that point, what would we do?
Right.
A startup would not take the old and repackage it. We put something from scratch. So we put those same tenets for us and say we're going to leave our existing products that were best in class at that time, Karen. We'll respect them. We're going to leave them aside because they were built for the last 25 years and completely start building for the next 10 years. And I say 10 years because technology changes very fast.
Yes.
And we started building from ground up new offerings, ground up cloud native offerings. Ground up, we also had this belief that we'll build a platform. We want to be a platform company. We built everything ground up. We spent $1.5 billion in R&D in the last 5-6 years to build everything, the platform I talked about, IDMC, and the product categories, and we natively built AI in it. But the core point there was we had a vision. We had a vision to where the puck was going. I wasn't hard, the question that you asked me, because there were people who felt we could take the old and there was pride in that. And why
Right.
can't it just be repackaged? And we really, really had to change our mindset. While we had belief for the future, we also had to change our mindset to go about. And it was, you had to have patience because first you have to go dig deep, spend some hard work building something, prove it out like a startup, create product market fit, then you scale. And for a company that's already at scale, that's a very hard process to go through to almost step back and think like a startup.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
that's what we think like a startup, have belief, and have the conviction to play the long game.
Yeah. Well, it's so true. I mean, it's what a startup would do. It's also what your competitors would do, right? You must have been
Yes.
sprouting new competitors who were starting from scratch, building a platform. So I think it's a sort of a courageous decision to do that, but obviously one good for the long term. So you have this legacy company, you have a reboot. There must also have been tremendous cultural and leadership implications of that, taking a company from this from legacy systems to you had startup for now,
Yeah.
startup software, cloud software. How did you lead the company through what must have been a cultural change during that time as well?
Yeah, I think I'll step back and I have three core tenets through which we
Mm,
led this change. One was, look, focus on innovation. We are building something that can solve real world problems, innovate, build the best. Ultimately, that's what matters. Where in tech, if you don't have the best, if you don't have innovation behind you, you're pretty much done. So,
mhm,
first core thesis was innovate, and we talked about a few things. Second is maniacal obsession with the customer.
mm,
Ultimately, tech for the sake of tech adds no value. We got to build something that's solving real world customer problems. We had one benefit that we already knew a lot of our customers, but the thing is that if you're when you're solving for the future, you really have to spend time with them, and because customers will not be articulating a product for you, but they're articulating pain for you, and you have
right.
to translate that pain into a product. And the third one is, look, ultimately it's the people. It's people who do it, and you have to focus on people and your values and your culture and figure out what's the right culture of innovation you need to build, what's the right culture of risk taking you need to build so that you can be accelerating like a startup. So to me, it was all about innovation, it was all about customer obsession, and it was all about people, values, culture. Those were the three key tenets, Karen, which allowed us to make this transformation.
Terrific. And I can imagine that was pretty exciting for most of the people on the team. I know change is hard for some people depending on their history with change, but that's often in a large company that's often an issue is how do we sort of maintain the base as well while we do innovation and keep the people who are working on the base from not all wanting to flock over to the shiny new thing. So wonderful you were able to do that. So, Informatica has seen really tremendous growth since you went public again, I guess prior to that as well, but since you went public last October, surpassing over 1.4 billion in ARR. Plus, I saw a customer retention rate greater than 93%, which I think is one of the most beautiful numbers for any SaaS company. So, how do you manage a global organization through this kind of growth? I mean, I hear your three tenants, but then there's the actual executing, how you do it. How are you managing a global organization through this?
Yeah, so look, I mean, obviously any company has to have a strategy and an execution plan. But to me, if you really peel the onion and go under the covers, how do you go make that happen? How do you build a strategy? And it always comes down to some very core philosophical principles that you live by. And I tried to imbibe three in general. One is you got to have a sense of belief. As a leader, as a company, whether you're an individual leader or a company, you got to have belief. Belief is all about having a sense of purpose of where you're going, having a sense of strategy where you're going, and having a strong sense of a plan that you will execute. Belief. And in that, you always bake in stuff that can go wrong, but you have belief that philosophically you're headed in that direction and you can make it happen. That's number one. You got to have belief, especially when you're changing the world. Second is, especially for a company that's changing. And by the way, even if you're innovating, you gotta go slow to go fast. Sometimes we want to race. We want to get the next thing out tomorrow. And sometimes that may not be the right thing. And so I have this belief of go slow to go fast. You do the groundwork. Sometimes the slope of a curve can be a little bit low and then it takes an exponential curve. Go slow to go fast. And that's true for everything. It's not about building a new product. It's about how you track success. Success doesn't come overnight. At least hasn't for me. It has been through hard work. So go slow to go fast. And the third one for me is people, empathy, putting people first. It's all about people at the end of the day. Products don't get built out of thin air. People don't sell out of thin air. You don't manage your customer retention out of thin air. It's the people that do it, and it's the culture that you build. So to me, it's always putting people first and the empathetic leadership that has helped me also become a better person. So again, those are belief, go slow to go fast, and empathetic people first leadership. Those are the three tenets that have allowed us to become a different company and me to become a better leader, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, that's certainly, I've spent the last 2 decades working with senior leaders, helping them navigate hypergrowth. And it's rarely the technology, it is almost always people and people learning to work
I
together.
think, and the point you're making is, and I'll give you one data point.
Mm.
We're an existing company, but now here is just step back because, and we are a very rare of the rare use case of a company that has transformed and grown the new. I'll give you a few stats. We were a single product company, and because of this, we are now a multi-product company. We were an on-premise software company. We are a 100% cloud company. We were as I said, single product company. Now we are a multi-product platform company. And our TAM, which was 7 billion, is now close to 50 billion.
That's great.
These things do, and our subscription business, which is the transformation we made, was almost zero in 2015, is now close to $1 billion run rate this year. That's a startup that we had to build within an existing company, and you really had to go dig deep with those philosophical concepts and beliefs to get you to the site.
Yeah. I just want to reiterate that is not easy to do. I have seen many a company fail in the effort to do that. So you had strong leadership. You had the right vision for people to believe in. Clearly, I had a board that backed you and was behind you in doing this, and customers that you were able to help see the future, because it's often not easy for customers to say, I want to leave this thing that think I have control over, my legacy system, on-prem, and move up to the cloud. But you've done that, so it's part of why you're being so successful today. One of my key tenets is curiosity. And I think curiosity plays a huge role in successful senior leadership. Has it played a role for you? And if so, how?
Oh, that's a terrific question. I believe curiosity is a fundamental tenet if you want to keep innovating and grow. Forget as a company, even as an individual. Look, I grew up as a very, very humble background. Actually, to be honest, to be where I am today, to be having this conversation with you, is probably 0.001% probability that would have happened when I was born. If somebody had written my life history, it's like that's a 0.0001% probability. And many other things happen along the way in life. And one of them is curiosity. I was always curious as a child, curious on not only how the world is around me, but also curious on why I couldn't do things that I thought I wanted to do, and what can I do to get there. And I, as you were asking this question, I almost went into a rewind clock back to even when I was in school. So curiosity is all about everything around you in the world. What's happening? Why is it happening? The why is the most important question. I always tell teams that the three whys. It's not the first why that gets you the answer. It's the third why.
Yeah.
It's the power of threes, right? Why, Why? So you have to be curious as to why is this customer doing this work this way and it seems like inefficient? Can we find a better way to do it?
Hmm.
Why are we doing something this way? Can we find a better way to do it? Why are we not doing something at all? Or why are we doing something that works very well? How do we industrialize it? There are many questions around us like that. And curiosity is all about not just at work, it's also watching anybody around us. I've learned from many people whom you would say these are not business people, just observing them, how they manage themselves, how they manage people around you, how are they empathetic human beings. And so you learn. Curiosity, the output of curiosity is learning, and without learning, you cannot grow. A stagnant piece of water always has algae on it. That's
Exactly.
not the way you want to grow. You want to have dynamism. That's the ocean water. And
Yeah.
that's what you want to be. Curiosity gives you that.
Yeah. Terrific. Yeah. I think, people and customers, people always work in their best self-interest, right? What they believe to be their best self-interest. And so just because I don't understand it doesn't make it wrong. It's still true for them, right? My goal is to understand why they think it's in their best self-interest.
Right.
And if I disagree, to see if I can change that or provide something that helps them see it's even better for them to make a change. So absolutely. Thank you for that. So, what's next for Informatica? You have this amazing backstory. You have all the success that you created through your reboot, and now you're a successful public offering. What's next? What's coming up?
Well, we just got started. I mean, the public offering was nothing else but a step in the direction, proof point of that we've arrived, we've
Hmm.
reinvented ourselves. Look, I live in Silicon Valley, and the only way innovation happens is through a startup. And I sometimes joke 99% of the startups are innovating till the day they go bankrupt. And innovation is not captive only to a particular genre of companies. So we are a rare breed in that case that we were able to innovate. We were a leader in the old world and we have become a leader in the new world. So that's a pretty high bar. And to be honest, we just started. I'll give you, I mean, if I look around the global 5,000 and their adoption of data management, it's still pretty underpenetrated.
Mm.
So I think our goal is to make sure we can help every company across the globe, every enterprise, and we serve enterprises, truly get the value of their data and become smarter companies like a Uber, like a Unilever, like a Kroger, like a Freddie Mac, like a Pfizer. These are all our customers. Become next gen companies or old companies, get value from it and really transform themselves. And we are barely getting started in that mission. We know
Mm.
there is tremendous amount of work for us to not only take our customers from their legacy infrastructures to the cloud so that they can be even more nimble. There is still very, very early innings in that journey. And we also know that as a company, there is a lot for us to do for us to even grow bigger and continue to remain nimble and innovative. So for us, to be honest, I think top of the second for a baseball game. That's where we feel where we are.
Okay.
Lots to do, especially in this world of cloud, data, AI.
Mm.
These are the fueling vectors of growth right now. And we are sitting at that trisection of that curve.
Yeah, terrific. What are you seeing in the market today? So my sense is that companies are a little more careful, but still see data transformation and the sorts of services that you're offering as vital for them to grow in the future. But what are you seeing from your customers?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the economic times you can look around us and feel like there is obviously uncertainty, but keep that aside because those times come and go. I mean, I just actually went over the last couple of months. I've been traveling across the globe,
Mm.
meeting customers directly as we are doing customer events. Just came back from Singapore last week. And one thing is clear to me every customer told me that their data driven digital transformation journey cannot stop, cannot stop. I mean, I was just sitting in Singapore and one of the largest banks in the region was telling me, hey, they're merging. Sorry, telecom provider, they're merging and they
Mm.
need to find a better way to cross sell, upsell, and create value for their customers. And they can only do that with the help of bringing their infrastructures together and understanding data together, data better. So that's not slowing down at all. No. So that's one. Second is the complexity of data is so much.
Mm.
Everybody is struggling in managing it with the sense, with the number of people they have. So they all want AI to help them, not just for intelligence, but also automation.
Yeah.
Automate the run of the mill activities for me so I can use my people to do value added work. So data driven digital transformation is definitely keep going on. AI is help me, don't give me pie in the sky, operational AI. That's the word I use. Help me operate my business with it. And the third one, we see a lot more of going down into data management, helping different industries, more verticalizing, industry specific value added stuff so everybody can run to value creation faster. If I'm financial services, I'm different from healthcare, I'm different from retail. Can you customize things for me as much as you can? So your super cloud is not a horizontal cloud, while there's horizontality in it that we need, but can it be verticalized and it can give me value
Mm.
added stuff for me? Those are the things I heard loud and clear from our customers as I went around the globe.
Okay, well, that will tell you what you need to do to go forward then, right? That's
Lots to do
great.
for us, and we are focused on that one.
Yeah, wonderful. So, just a final question for you. The tagline for my consulting business is up and to the right, because that's the place on the 2x2 matrix where we always want to be. And you have your share of being in that magic quadrant, as it were. But for you personally, I wonder if there was a moment in your life or your career when you knew that you were going to be successful, that you were moving up and to the right. You mentioned earlier about your odds of being where you are now being so small at birth. So maybe there was something earlier in your life, or maybe it was a career moment. But was there a moment when you knew you were moving in that direction?
Hard to pick a moment, Karen. I think life is a series of small steps. Sometimes
Mm.
we like to go back in time and find that one big step. I felt like life is definitely a series of small steps, and you keep putting in the work, and each small step then becomes the foundation for the next step, and it becomes bigger in its value creation for you. So that's how I see it. I think the one thing I remember, actually, to be honest, I just met a bunch of my friends from undergrad. We had a
Oh,
mini
cool.
reunion, and I remember somebody said to me, "I've always led from the heart, and
Mm.
sometimes maybe to a fault." And I remember these friends of mine were sitting with me, and he says, and they were reminding me, we were sitting in, as we were all graduating from undergrad, we were all starry-eyed, can change the world, all of us, right? And I always wanted to lead, and I always was a natural leader to do something and make a difference and help people go along with them. And these friend of mine said, you know what, you're going to go a long way, all of us will be and they wrote in my graduating book on what they think I could be. Obviously I would chuckle at that point, and life ended up putting me in that situation where I am right now. So in some ways, I think when you lead from the heart, people follow you, people believe in you, people want to do things for you, people also look at your mistakes in the right spirit because they know we all can make mistakes, right? And I think that probably is the thing that I can go back in time and say, well, those things have helped me be where I am, and I wouldn't trade them ever for anything else to be where I want to be, even as
Yeah.
I hang up my boots at some point in life.
Yeah. Oh, I love this. Yeah. It's about, I think, somehow sort of being centered in your thoughts and actions. And people people don't run into that all that often in leaders. So it does make a difference. And I'm thrilled it got you to where you are today. Thank you. Well, thank you, Amit, so much for joining us today. I really appreciated your time and loved hearing more of the story of this incredible company that you have helped to build and that you've led the last few years. So I wish you and your company all the best and take good care.
Karen, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure to be with you, and thank you for doing what you do. Wish you the
Okay.
best of as well.